Hello, Dr. Osborne, Dr. Gable, and colleagues. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the American Insurance Group, why they were too big to fail, and what got them into this sticky situation. Hello, Dr. Osborne, Dr. Gable, and colleagues. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the American. First, I'll cover a little bit of background and the life cycle of the company. They were founded in 1919 by Cornelius Vanderstar, uh, more popularly known as CV Star, in Shanghai, China. They operated there, had great success for about 20 years before moving to the U.S. to avoid an imminent invasion in Shanghai. They operated in the U.S. for about 30, 34 years before they became publicly traded. They operated mainly in traditional insurance products, life, and property insurance. In 1982, they started to experience some rapid growth related to the housing boom. More Americans were able to afford homes, and so they were selling uh, a lot of houses, a lot of mortgages, and started working in securities during that time. Now, once they started to sell those mortgages at a high rate, this is when AIG starts to enter into some unethical business practice. They start to ignore the risk management principles. They're addicted to the high returns of selling lots of mortgages and having people buy the securities. Has jobs during this period. The mortgages are getting paid on time, and that is a model that they form their business around. Now it doesn't last forever, and so once they saw a decline in the sale of homes, and also a subsequent decline in their securities investments, they start to kind of tweak their numbers and start to do fraudulent accounting practices. This undermines the ethical responsibility that they have to consumers to accurately report. So the at the heart of their crime, they're selling mortgage-backed securities, um, and the mortgages that are contained in the securities are subprime mortgages. These subprime mortgages are then uh, insured through a credit default swap. And what all this means is the subprime mortgages that they were selling, which are mortgages that are have a high opportunity for default. Nothing wrong with selling the mortgage-backed securities. That's totally normal. Pools of mortgages, people pay them on time, everybody's happy. Now, the subprime mortgage market is what you don't want. You want prime mortgages where people have high income and their mortgage makes up a smaller percentage of their annual expense. Now, these subprime mortgages are especially attractive for a company like AIG because they sell them at a higher interest rate. So we have people who cannot afford their mortgage already and are also paying a higher interest rate just to have the mortgage. Uh, what happened was the people that could afford homes had homes by this time. And so they started to sell to the people that really could not afford homes. And this is where it becomes a problem. Now, they thought they had a roundabout way of not even really fighting the problem, just hiding the problem to investors. And that's where the credit default swaps come in. They start selling credit default swaps or CDSs in an attempt to make investors feel secure. If these subprime mortgages fail, We have a credit default swap in place, and we will pay that mortgage out even if the home buyer defaults on it. That happens, but to a very small degree when you're dealing with prime mortgages. This was happening more and more as they sold more of these subprime or risky mortgages. The people could not afford them and they were just going into default. Now, the problem with AIG is that due to their great success in the early part of the 1900s, they had such a good credit rating that they did not have to provide collateral or show proof that they could actually support these credit default swaps that they were providing to people. So, once the housing market crashed in 2008, people had their hands out. The investors are looking to capitalize on the credit default swap that they had in place, which is an insurance policy in a way against the risky subprime mortgage. AIG did not have this money. They had only a fraction of this reserve money that they would need to pay out mortgages that go into default. Uh, they they had about $60 billion in subprime mortgages by this time. So much more than any normal amount. They expect a very small amount of mortgage to go into default, but once most of your mortgages are subprime, that number goes up exponentially. So here's some of the major players: Maurice Greenberg, Howard Smith, and Elizabeth Monrad. She's a lesser known CPA who was charged and convicted with some of the fraudulent financial entries. Interestingly enough, Maurice Greenberg and Howard Smith both denied their involvement or knowledge of the fraud for over a decade after the fact in an attempt to save face. Maurice Greenberg was the CEO and became the face of the AIG failure. Howard Smith, he's even much lesser known. I think maybe this picture that's on the screen here is the only one that I could find of him. So with these accounting scandals, they really put your face out there so that the world can identify you as a person who is a fraud and does not look out for the best interest of consumers, because the likelihood that you will have more opportunities after the fact is high. Howard Smith is still employed today, and so is Elizabeth Monrad, even though they've both been convicted of fraudulent financial and accounting practices. So it's important to get these people's faces out because uh, they're systemic in the way that they deceive, and the likelihood that they will do it again is high. Uh, Reform after fraud. So uh, obviously, after AIG kind of invented this new way of ensuring already subprime lending, there needed to be some checks and balances and some protections put in place. In 2010, President Barack Obama signed the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, as well as established the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. These were put in place to ensure that we never come close to another situation like AIG. They were in total bailed out to about the tune of $150 billion, and that's from the federal government taxpayer dollars. So it's doubly damaging to the consumer. They sell you a high interest mortgage, they take your money, and then you still have to bail them out after the fact because of their fraudulent accounting practice. If something like this were to happen and AIG was allowed to totally fail, go bankrupt, it will cause a domino effect that would send us into a scenario similar to the Great Depression. So it's for this reason that they were bailed out and allowed to continue operating. And they still exist today, but just in a much lesser form, and hopefully are following a much stricter line of accounting and reporting practices. Thank you.